Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled HOA called police on me for shooting guns at my shooting range. I'm not even part of the HOA. So I converted my backyard into being my own personal firing range. It is not the biggest, and if I want to shoot something large like a shotgun, I would go somewhere appropriate for it. For shooting my pistol though, it works perfectly and my aim is improving. I want to make it clear that I am very safe with my guns and only point them towards the targets that I am shooting. So I have never had any incident that would warrant any kind of complaints. However, I am telling this story and you know that she is coming, so enter who I am going to call the HOA lady. I don't know if she holds any position in the HOA or anything. All I know is that she was mentioning the HOA and a bunch of rules a lot while I'm not even part of the HOA. HOA lady: young man, what do you think you're doing back here? Keep in mind I am 35, but I recently shaved my beard and have a baby face. Also, she just waltzes into my backyard. Me? I am shooting on my range. She looks and sees what is going on and starts screaming. HOA lady: a gun! Oh my god, he is pointing a gun at me! Me: stop screaming! It is pointed towards the ground and I put the safety on as soon as I saw you. Now would you please get off of my property? HOA lady: I'm not going anywhere. You are clearly too young for this weapon and your parents are going to be in trouble for letting you have it. There are rules in this neighborhood about guns and shooting. Now where's your mother? I know I look a little young, but thinking I'm a teenager is ridiculous. Me: I am 35 years old and this is my house. Leave now or I'm going to call the cops. I walk back into my house as I don't want to deal with this woman any longer. I hear banging and see that she is knocking on my door. I don't want to call the police and deal with that, so I just wait for her to give up and go home. About 15 minutes later, I hear banging again and go to see that there are 2 cops at my door and 3 more squad cars. Cop number 1: we received a call about a minor shooting a gun wildly in the backyard. Me: that was me, but I'm 35. It also wasn't wildly. It was in the shooting range I built in my backyard. Cop number 1: where is the weapon in question right now, sir? Me: it is locked in the gun safe in the garage. I can show you. I start walking towards the back with them following me, while cop number 2 goes back to the car to run my ID. I show them the safe, the gun and the shooting range where I have used the target, with most of my shots being dead on. While I am explaining what happened with the lady, cop number 2 comes back to give me my ID and sees the range. Cop number 2: this is cool. I'm sure a ton of guys on the force would want to come check this out. If that was alright with you, of course. Me: sure, I would be happy to let any officers come and test it out. So I'm not in any trouble, right? Cop number 1: no, everything here checks out. You are following all standards and have all your licenses up to date. They leave and I try to enjoy my peaceful life again. I keep getting reported to the cops though, and when different ones show up, I have to explain the whole situation again. I also see that she is sneaking around and trying to take pictures of me in my backyard. Also, I keep getting HOA fines and warnings in my mailbox, which I just rip up because I am not part of their stupid HOA. During one visit, cop number 1 is back and tells me that if she is sneaking around trying to take pictures, and since they can prove it is her calling the police every time, I can get a restraining order. I smile wide when I hear that there is something that can be done and file to get it done. By now I have half the police precinct already on my side and they are able to get her to give the pictures that she took of me. Between that, the phone records and the accounts from various officers, I was easily given a restraining order and now she had to stay away from me. That revenge did not seem quite satisfying enough though, so I decided that I needed to turn the rest of the neighborhood against her as well. Now, I am not much of a party person, but I wanted this to be the best party anyone was talking about for a long time. I put a lot of time and more money than I want to admit into making this the best party ever. Then I invited everyone in the neighborhood except for the HOA lady, of course, and waited for the night to begin. More people than I thought actually showed up, and it proved that she was in the minority when it came to my shooting range. The music was blasting, and those with permits and not drinking were allowed to go out back and shoot on the range. Even some of my new friends at the precinct dropped by to hang out for a while and shoot. The icing on the cake was that when neighbors were asking why HOA lady couldn't come, I had issues with telling them exactly why she wasn't there. I would not have been shocked if she called the cops for noise complaints once again, only to be ignored because they all knew her and knew that she was always calling the cops on me. Now she is not allowed at any neighborhood event if I am in attendance. I decided to even go to some of the HOA meetings pretending to be interested in joining, just so she could walk in, see me, and be forced to turn around and walk out. I am still shooting in my backyard to this day and have a bunch of new cop buddies that love coming over to hang out and use it as well. I don't know if anyone else tried calling them about my shooting range, but they all know me and that is fine by now. I went from being kind of a loner in my neighborhood to being one of the guys everyone wanted to be friends with and hang out with. So many people here have permits for pistols and nowhere safe to practice shooting. I am more than happy to oblige as a friendly neighbor, and knowing that the more gunshots HOA lady hears and cannot do anything about, the better I feel. I am thinking of having another party soon, this one where everyone brings their own guns and we see who is the most accurate. I am sure that she would love that as well. Let me know what you think about that idea, and if anything exciting happens with the HOA lady, I'll be sure to tell you guys. And I gotta say, Ripe Stars, that is a very positive outcome for the OP. And what makes the story so satisfying in my opinion is that so many people bonded together over a shared activity, while this one person, the HOA Karen, gets frustrated every single time these people bond together and have fun. The next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for shutting down access to my property and lakefront? Background: I recently purchased several acres of wooded property, a good portion of which juts out into a rather large lake. My little peninsula gives me some great lakefront. There is a smallish strip of beach, a dock and a few boat slips. Because of the woods surrounding the lake, I'm the only lot for several miles that has access to the water without going bushwhacking through the trees. Apparently over the years my neighbors have gotten used to taking their boats down my driveway to launch or going and spending time on the beach. And by the way guys, I'm not sure if OP meant to say launch or lunch. I would guess he meant lunch. I bought the place over the holidays and just recently moved in at the beginning of the summer, and before anyone introduced themselves to me, I was met with a regular stream of traffic cutting through my lot to the water. At first I thought it was because I purchased the property and did not move in right away, that everyone just assumed the house and the land was vacant and could take advantage until that changed. And by the way guys, that kind of baffles me, because who in their right mind would decide that it is a good idea to trespass on a property just because no one lives there? Especially if they know that it is a private property. Anyway, I guess entitled people are just becoming more common in society. Either way, so I started walking out when I saw people and letting them know that I live there now, and also making a point to make it obvious the house was lived in. Not much changed, so I got blunt and started asking people directly not to trespass on the property. I wish I could say my direct approach solved the problem, but people would still trek right through. I put up a fence and put up a sign stating private property, as well as a sign letting people know that my dogs were on the property, and once I put the fence up I started allowing them, the dogs, to roam the property and did not want any trouble. Unfortunately, my neighbors took the fence and the dogs, despite the fact that I owned the dogs well before moving to this lot, as an act of aggression. I had a neighbor come to my door and literally yell at me because my dogs barked at her kids when they tried to pull their raft up onto my beach. That same neighbor advised me that my lot has always been the neighborhood entrance to the lake. Apparently, a number of the neighbors built the fire pit and put the tables and rocks and park-like features out there. In chatting with a couple of the friends I have managed to make in my new neighborhood, they confirmed that what the neighbors said was true and that my property has always been more of a park than a private lot. Anyway, while I feel bad that the convenience of nearby lake access has been cut off, I live by myself and I'm personally not comfortable with anyone and everyone just traipsing through my yard. On one hand, I feel like it's absolutely my decision to restrict access to my lot, but on the other I am wondering if I am breaking some sort of unspoken rule of access that was established before I ever got here. Am I the a-hole for closing off my property? And by the way guys, I'm not asking for legal advice, I have a lovely attorney and I am well within my rights to close down access to the property, there is no easement and I own the shoreline. Edit number 2, the neighbors took me letting the dogs out on the property as a sign of aggression, they did not literally take my dogs. As the dogs are a pair of Malinois, good luck taking them someplace they don't wanna go to. Edit number 3, the lake has 2 public parks complete with boat launches and docks that are open for anyone's use, the nearest of which is a few miles down the road from my property. If a person were wanting to launch a boat, it would take about 15 minutes longer to do so by going to the public launch versus down my driveway. Edit number 4, I will post my more comprehensive plan as an update later as a few people have requested, but this last update is going up to give you guys a thank you for all of your comments and a quick insight as to what is rattling around in my brain after reading them. I still feel like my decision to shut down access through my yard and driveway is the correct way to do things. If there's a particular reason my lot should be used, I will leave it open to one-on-one discussions. There is an intercom by the front gate now. I'm going to modify it to a video system that I can respond to from my phone, not just from within the house. As for the waterfront, there is no fence on the water obviously, but there are signs alerting folks to the presence of the dogs. I really took to heart the comments about restricting access to the beach area, and I genuinely don't like the idea of doing that completely, so I am working out a plan that will allow boaters to pull up and enjoy the waterfront without compromising my privacy, their or my dog's safety. I'm sure some type of landscaping could be devised to make it clear where it is okay to pull up and have lunch and where my expected privacy begins. Thanks again guys, I'm very glad I was pointed in your direction, even though I think the friend who suggested I post here may actually have been kidding. And a user in the comments said, "You are not the a-hole, you own it and they need to deal with it. I had to fight legally off trespassers also, I was nice only until it got me nowhere." Another user in the comments said, "Not the a-hole, whatever was allowed before you bought the property means nothing when it changed hands. It is your property and you could be civilly liable if, God forbid, an accident happened. Post your property, put up cameras if possible, if the behavior persists, notify local law enforcement." Just because your property made access to the lake convenient for your neighbors, it does not give them the right to it. If the past owner wanted to grant these people permanent access, it should have been spelled out before you purchased the property. And yeah guys, I gotta say, I am absolutely baffled by this situation and once again by the entitlement of the people who feel like it is their right to trespass on OP's property simply because it was okay, like they say, in the past. Please let us know in the comments how you feel about this story, and while you're at it, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments and maybe even like the video if you want to support the channel. Thank you so much in advance. The next one is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not letting my daughter play with the neighbor's kids?" So, I have a daughter 6 years old who plays outside every day. She usually hangs around the same group of kids. One of these kids we will call Jared, who is around 5. Jared's parents are neglectful to say the least. He will show up outside wearing the same outfit for days in a row, visibly dirty and constantly trying to stick toys in his mouth. His parents are capable of bathing and changing him, they are just too lazy and spend their time drinking. When any of us neighbors try to help, we get yelled at saying that we are embarrassing their family, insulting their parenting, etc. Well, yesterday I noticed that the boy is scratching his head. I'm not talking like a light scratch, I mean he's really going at it. I instantly knew what that scratch was from and called my daughter and niece over. They tell me no, their heads have not itched, but I checked anyways and lo and behold, lice. I immediately call them inside and go to the pharmacy to get lice shampoo because that stuff spreads like wildfire and no thank you. Get the girls treated and everything is good. Today rolls around and it is raining, so no outside time. Neighborhood kids know they are welcome in our house, so usually they just stroll in with a quick hello and start playing. When Jared comes in, I immediately tell him he has to go home. I don't tell him why, I just say gently that he cannot stay over today. He runs out crying and about 5 minutes later his parents show up demanding to know why I won't let him inside. I told them that he has lice and I don't want it getting in my house. They both proceeded to yell and scream about how could I say that, saying that I'm calling their son dirty and how it is not fair that the other kids can play inside but theirs cannot. I told them the reason the other kids could play and theirs couldn't is because I talked with their parents and all the kids have been checked and cleared or treated. After listening to them berate me, I more or less told them that it is not my fault, that they would rather buy alcohol than clean up their son and buy him lice treatment. They called me an a-hole for not letting their son in and finally left. My husband says I could have been kinder about it, but after months of washing this kid up when he is over, feeding him because his parents forget and even washing his clothes, I am tired of being a third parent to a child I hold no relation to. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? I also want to add, CPS is not a thing in my country, police won't do anything as a child is not in immediate harm. And a user in the comments said, your job is to protect your child and your home and that is just what you are doing, not the a-hole. I feel bad for that other kid having those kind of parents. If those parents would care for their child, they would have nothing to be embarrassed about, they are only embarrassing themselves. And yeah, ripe stars, I was about to say, obviously OP is not the a-hole for not letting his kids play with this Jared kid. However, he would have been usually the a-hole because he did not call or at least contact CPS about the way the parents are treating Jared. But yeah, then again, we sometimes forget that services like this do not exist in every single country, which makes this story, at least in my opinion, quite sad. The next one is an update to the am I the a-hole for not letting my daughters play with the neighbor's kids story. First off, I just want to say thank you to all the kind people who gave me advice. One comment stood out to me and gave me a really good idea, and after talking with my husband, we got some things together and got it handled. Yesterday, me and my husband went to Jared's house and spoke with his parents. I basically said I was to blame for the lies and I apologized profusely for the trouble I had caused. I said as an apology I would like to have their house deep cleaned. I am talking treatments on all furniture, carpet, anything and everything lice could be on. I said I would personally take all of their clothes to the laundry shop to be treated, and I would like to bring Jared to my house to treat his head myself, as well as give them the shampoo and medicine to treat themselves. They saw my offer as very generous and accepted. So we spent the entire day treating their clothes, Jared, and even bought a few drinks to keep them distracted while we treated Jared. Jared got a meal, got cleaned up, and all is well in the neighborhood again. Now he is welcome inside my house to play and get his belly full. Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented. Doing these things were not cheap, but it was well worth it to have that sweet boy taken care of. And wow, ripe stars, I gotta say that is a very wholesome and kind of unexpected ending. For some reason I would have expected that Jared's parents would have reacted in some sort of irate way and would not accept the help, or maybe even scream at OP if he would offer the help to them. So yeah, I hope everything is going well in Jared's life and maybe the parents improved. And ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously, and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.